The story begins deep inside a dungeon where Shun stands gripping a glowing sword like he just pulled it out of a loot box. Above him, griffins scream and dive in. But Shun doesn't flinch. He charges, swinging that sword like he's trying to uninstall their existence. The other adventurers freeze, whispering that the swift rookie is way too strong. Just when it looks like victory is his, Shun's eyes widen. A dark aura swirls around him, crackling with unstable energy. He curses under his breath, eyes twitching from pain. Then the system notification hits. His level just dropped. No matter how hard he fights, it keeps going down. In this world, skills unlock at level 50. A novice could become a master swordsman or a powerful mage depending on their skill. Shun grinded for it non-stop. But the skill he got was unheard of. It was called level down. Shun remembered how 5 years ago everyone called him the Swift Rookie. Now his cursed skill drains his level every time he fights. He's barely stronger than a regular guy. His allies left him. Gazaria, a dirty-faced brute especially, enjoyed watching him fall. Shun never wanted fame. His dad was a hero. Shun just wanted to help people like him. That goal kept him moving, searching for a fix. His thoughts snapped back to the present. In a dark cave, someone was yelling and beating him. The guy was Gazaria. Shun begs him to stop, but he keeps swinging. His goons mock Shun, calling him a disgrace. The Swift Rookie is now a joke. Gazaria laughs, punching again, then grabbing his collar. He admits he's always hated Shun. The system flashes. Gazaria's skill is monster summoning. Shun tells him he has never trained enough. That makes Gazaria snap. He slams Shun to the ground, furious. Seeing the perfect chance to finish him, Gazaria began casting a spell. A strange aura took shape, forming a fiery, wolf-like creature. Shun's horrified. Gazaria doesn't want blood on his hands, so he lets the creature do the job. Shun warned that other adventurers might get caught in the crossfire, but Gazaria laughed it off, saying he didn't care. He ordered his lackeys to keep quiet about what they saw. They continued mocking Shun, saying they had heard some rookie was trying his luck in the dungeon. Gazaria grinned, revealing he had summoned a horde of monsters just for him. The wolves charged at Shun while he quickly checked his status panel. It showed level 1. He knew fighting would only make it worse, so he ran, trying to avoid unnecessary battles. Creepy goblins and beast-like monsters stalked him as he hid behind a boulder, cursing Gazaria for flooding the area with monsters. Shun thought if Gazaria wanted to finish him, he should have summoned something stronger. Just then, a scream echoed nearby. A girl with big plots was surrounded by monsters and was visibly terrified. Shun hesitated, not sure if he should fight or just uninstall life. He knew he had almost no chance of winning. He considered waiting for someone else to help, but then the girl screamed again and collapsed. Monsters closed in. Without thinking, Shun dashed out, placing himself between her and the danger. He raised his sword and slashed at the blood wolf. Normally, no one at level 1 could beat it, but Shun had experience. He'd taken down countless monsters before. He told the girl to run. She gasped, grateful. The blood wolf lunged from above. Shun focused on its weak spot, the belly. His blade flashes, hitting just right. Blue energy sparks. The girl stares, stunned. 2 more monsters to go. He figured if he could take them out, at least he could save the girl. A system notification popped up. He had gained EXP points, but his level dropped by 2. Confused, he stared at the panel. Then another strange notification appeared. His level was now -1. He froze. That had to be an error. All he had wanted was to protect her. He looks at his hand, trembling. He wondered why he got stuck with such a cursed skill. But then he reminded himself his dad wouldn't have given up over something like this. Determined, Shun clenched his fist. He'll fight until he can't anymore. A strange aura forms around his hand. Even at negative levels, he'll protect people. At the very least, he'd protect that girl to the end. Suddenly, a mysterious voice echoed around him. It praises his justice. Even the powerful fear him. His breath catches. The voice called out again, acknowledging that he had reached a new state. In a sudden shift, energy surged around him. Shun was stunned as the blood wolf froze midair. His eyes widened. The monsters had stopped moving. A system notification appeared, announcing that by reaching a negative level, he had been freed from the curse. Another message follows. He can now use the power of the world's reverse side. He looks at his hand, cloaked in a dark aura, and wonders what it means. Then came another system declaration. It identified the first error skill. Shun could now use Black Flame magic. To activate it, he needed something called error points. Still processing, he noticed time itself had stopped, yet he stood unaffected. It made no sense. Suddenly, everything turned black. A moment later, glowing mana flared and a powerful presence appeared. The figure stepped forward, telling Shun it looked like he made it through. Shun gasped, recognizing the same voice from earlier. The godlike figure smirked, apologizing that he couldn't hold time much longer. He extended a hand, offering a quick rundown. Shun felt overwhelmed as images began to flood into his mind. Hennet tried to say who caused it. The message glitched. It said everything tied back to the level system. Shun wondered if leveling up was part of the curse. The voice confirmed it, glitching again. The level cap of 99 meant no human could surpass it. But Shun had broken free. Only he could tap into a power beyond this world. Shun's eyes widened. Suddenly, the golden realm began to crackle. The figure warned that time was almost up. Shun tried to call out for him to wait, but the voice cut him off. It told him to remember this. The lower his level dropped, the more he would reclaim power from the world's reverse side. Eventually, even lost memories would return. In a flash, Shun dropped back into the dungeon. The blood wolves that had been frozen mid-leap resumed their charge. His eyes widened. There was no more time to stand confused. Just as the wolf lunged at him, he raised his hand and activated the error skill. Black flame magic burst out, a purple energy ripping through the air. Black flames engulfed the wolves instantly. Shun stood stunned by the sheer force of it. This was nothing like any flame magic he had seen before. Looking at his hand, he realized that even though this should have been his first time using it, he somehow knew exactly what to do. The girl nearby stared in awe, amazed that he wiped out so many monsters in one strike. Just then, Gazaria and his lackeys came rushing in, wondering aloud what caused that massive explosion. They froze at the sight of Shun, shocked to see him still standing. Gazaria asked if Shun had taken out all the monsters. The girl nodded. Gazaria's face twisted in rage as he pointed at Shun, calling him the swift rookie. But the girl stepped in front of Shun, snapping that now wasn't the time for egos. She told him not to change the subject. Shun stood stunned, watching her confront Gazaria like it was nothing. Maybe she came from somewhere far away and didn't know who he was. She smiled at Shun, thanking him for saving her. Shun awkwardly denied it, clearly flustered. She introduced herself as Lies. Meanwhile, Gazaria seethed from behind, muttering how girls kept spawning around Shun like he had some hidden harem buff. Meanwhile, Shun knew that dude got so flustered around girls. Still, Shun checked his system. His level was stuck at -1, the text glitched, and defense was so low a single hit could kill him. Yet the error skill still lingered on the panel. Thinking back to that magic from earlier, he realized no matter how he looked at it, that power was on an insane level. Normally, casting something like that would require years of intense training. He noticed the girl still staring at him, clearly impressed. Honestly, he still couldn't wrap his head around any of this. But maybe with this power, he could finally become like his father. Suddenly, the air grew heavy. The ground shook and adventurers nearby panicked. A towering void dragon appeared before them. Shun immediately panicked, asking if Gazaria had summoned that thing, but Gazaria was equally terrified. There was no way he had summoned something like this. The dragon roared, its cry shaking the dungeon. Shun saw a brief flash of memory, himself fighting this very creature. He grabbed his head as the memory hit harder. This was something he knew. He remembered the godly voice hinting that there was something he had forgotten. Blue energy swirled around the dragon. Shun watched in shock as the wolves he had just defeated began recovering. They had some kind of healing ability. The dragon then opened its mouth, preparing to unleash a torrent of blue fire. Gazaria began to cast a spell in desperation. Shun screamed for him to run, but it was too late. The blue flames engulfed Gazaria. In an instant, Gazaria's appearance changed into that of a frail, pitiful old man. Shun stared, stunned. It wasn't just powerful, it could manipulate the very timeline of its targets. The way the surroundings regenerated, it had to be some kind of time reversal ability. Lies stepped forward, telling Shun to run while she readied her sword. She said it was her turn to return the favor. Shun protested, knowing how reckless that was. There was something seriously wrong with that monster. He had never even heard of a time manipulation ability like this. The dragon's blue fire crackled again, aimed directly at Lies. She braced herself. Shun rushed in, pushing her out of the way, knowing it was do or die. He had to take the risk. Lies watched in horror as Shun was engulfed in blue flames. He screamed in pain but stood firm, enduring the firestorm. Tears welled up in Liza's eyes as she saw him hold his ground in that deadly inferno. Amidst the flames, Shun wondered if the memory he saw earlier was real. The system suddenly flashed. An error message appeared, announcing that power transcending the laws of nature had been detected. And then, Shun began to laugh, dark, sinister, and fearless, while blue flames raged around him. The system declared auto mode activated, deploying a system barrier. A new notification appeared, stating that all hostile attacks would be neutralized by force. A surge of energy erupted around Shun, triggered as a one-time effect for entering the negative level zone. His breathing steadied, and his external injuries healed completely. He noticed a strange aura forming around his palm and realized his memories hadn't been wrong. Just like that godly figure had said, he was much stronger now. Lies watched him in awe, quietly wondering if Shun might be a legendary figure. The ground quaked again as the dragon began to move. The horrible beast, glowing eyes and razor-sharp teeth on display, roared and launched another attack. Shun's heart pounded. Energy crackled around his hands as he activated his error skill. Black flame magic surged forward, a massive orb of black fire slamming into the dragon's face. The dragon reared back in pain, then raised its claw for a furious counterattack. Shun dragged himself aside, evading the crushing blow. He thought about those strange memories the godly figure mentioned. Most were still fuzzy, but he felt sure there was more to the error skill. He remembered something, how to use it like this. With a sharp focus, he summoned a primordial secret sword. A strange, powerful aura surged around it as he drove the blade into the dragon. Purple flames erupted. The beast let out one final cry before dissipating into embers. The system flashed again, declaring massive EXP gained, and his level dropped further to -3. A strange energy surged around his hand, and a new system message declared he had acquired a second error skill. Shun blinked, stunned. Another unique skill, though he still had no idea what it did. But there was no doubt now that dropping into the negatives had taken him to a whole new level. Later that evening, Shun and Lies walked through the streets, leaving the dungeon behind. He noticed she was still tagging along. He casually brought up that since she wasn't even an adventurer, he didn't think she had any business at the guild. She teased that she was there because he was. Shun, being as clueless as ever, completely misses the flirt. She stuck close, saying he had saved her life after all. Shun figured there wasn't any reason to send her away. After defeating the Void Dragon, they made it out of the dungeon safely. Of course, he didn't forget to gather the monster drops. It seemed smarter to keep quiet about the whole dragon incident. He glanced down at his hands. This negative zone he had reached, thanks to the cursed level down skill along with all the confusion tied to his memories, left a lot still unanswered. He let out a quiet breath and decided to focus on the next step. First things first, he would cash in the materials at the guild. But before he could even act on it, Lies cheerfully said he didn't have to bother selling anything. She would take care of him. He froze for a second, caught off guard by that. Two adventurers passed by, chatting about the recent rumor of a dragon sighting. One of them mentioned that its level had been unmeasurable. Hearing that, Shun began to worry. Maybe he had been too reckless defeating the dragon so openly. Just like Gazaria, he had drawn unnecessary attention. He had to shut the rumors down before they got out of hand. He turned to tell Lies about what had happened inside the dungeon. But before he could finish, she immediately nodded like a mind reader, promising not to say a single word about the dragon. Shun stared at her. For someone who looked like her brain ran on pink sparkles and air, she was dangerously sharp. He quietly thanked her. They reached the Adventurers Guild. People nearby started whispering as soon as they noticed him. Some mocked him, calling him the swift rookie and wondering why he was still trying to be an adventurer. Lies frowned at the rude remarks, but Shun kept calm and told her to ignore them. He already knew people usually only had one skill, so it was best to keep quiet about having two error skills. At the counter, Shun held out his materials and asked the staff girl if she could exchange them for cash. She took a quick look and confirmed the materials were from Blood Wolves, asking if he had gone to Dungeon 37. Shun nodded, but then a thought crossed his mind. If they found out about the dragon, things could spiral. The staff girl blinked in surprise, then mentioned that a dangerous monster had been reported nearby. Gazaria hadn't come back yet, then she was relieved that Shun was at least safe. Shun laughed and thanked her. Then a sharp voice cut through the air. Everyone froze. A magic circle appeared above them, crackling. A woman descended from it, wrapped in an eerie aura. Shun recognized her instantly, Yulisha the Phantom, an S-rank sword adventurer known for her illusion skills. One of the most powerful in the world, the staff girl looked surprised and asked why Yulisha had come. Yulisha said she tracking the monster sighted at Dungeon 37, but by the time she arrived, there was nothing left. The staff girl was stunned that the dragon had been dealt with before Yulisha even got there. Yulisha nodded, saying there were dead blood wolves scattered near where the dragon had been. She stared directly at Shun and stepped toward him, asking if he was truly clueless. Shun grew a bit nervous, especially as sweet fragrance filled the air. From the back, one of the adventurers chimed in, saying Shun had the level-down skill. He mocked that Shun could barely take down blood wolves. At first, Yulisha nodded and smiled gently. Then her expression turned dark. She snapped at the guy to shut up. Her voice alone made him choke, collapsing as her power hit him. Then she turned back to Shun and asked if he had any idea what she was talking about. Shun apologized, saying he had no clue. Yulisha glared coldly, muttering that she must have been mistaken, then turned to leave. Shun started to relax, but before he could even take a full breath, she leaped back. Her expression was serious now. With barely any warning, she activated her phantom skill, vanishing and reappearing behind him. Shun's instincts flared. He realized this wasn't good. Black flame magic surged from his hand, crackling like a dark inferno. Yulisha remained calm, impressed by the strange nature of his skill. She swung her blade at him. Shun raised his sword just in time to block. She said it wouldn't work, her illusions couldn't be stopped that easily. Stepping closer, her voice grew cold as she asked why he was hiding things. Shun prepared to answer, but she cut in again. She called herself an ally of justice. She was tracking the mastermind behind the recent monster events. If he was on their side, she said she would finish him off instantly, just like that man from earlier. Shun stood silent, taking in her words. He wondered if this was connected to the earlier skill. Everyone around them watched with wide eyes. He hadn't wanted to attract attention, but now there was no choice. He activated his second error skill. A strange aura surged around Shun. The crowd went silent. Lies stood frozen, stunned as she watched his eyes start to glow. Or as Shun activated his second error skill, Law of Attack, he launched a powerful strike with his sword. Yulisha blocked it with just her blade, the impact causing him to scream. She smiled, realizing his power had suddenly spiked. She attempted another strike, but he caught it easily. Her eyes widened as she understood he'd been holding back this whole time. Yulisha charged forward again. Shun stood ready, sword in hand, meeting her head-on. The surrounding adventurers were stunned, whispering among themselves how that guy was somehow holding his own against Lady Yulisha. Shun thought about the second error skill. It looked like it boosted his attack power. A system text materialized in front of him, just like before. It displayed his attack stat, 120. That meant 10 times his original strength. He knew attack power usually didn't change unless someone leveled up, which made this even stranger. He noticed Yulisha smiling at him, and just as he began to panic, the world around him shifted. Flashbacks of destruction, fire, and giant monsters filled his vision. He immediately realized Yulisha had cast an illusion, but he remained calm. He wondered what she was trying to get out of this. Yulisha observed how he calmly assessed the illusion. That confirmed her doubts. He wasn't just strong, he was also used to scenes like this. That ruled him out as a possible informant for the enemy. She canceled her illusion and stepped toward him with an apology, saying it looked like he wasn't aligned with the threat. Shun, still a bit stunned, admitted he never meant to cause trouble. Yulisha nodded, saying he probably just wanted to avoid drawing attention. He was surprised at how accurately she figured him out. The big plot slowly smiled, praising him, saying not many people could block her blade like that. He hesitated, then muttered thanks. She turned and used her magic to heal the guy she had knocked out earlier. Laughing awkwardly, she apologized, saying she couldn't help teasing the little guys sometimes. That poor guy scrambled away as fast as he could. Yulisha turned back to Shun and apologized like she hadn't just publicly beaten him an hour ago. She said she was going to make it up to him now and told him to take a seat so they could talk. The nearby adventurers started short-circuiting like their crush just got a boyfriend. Later, while they were seated, a full-blown crowd formed around them, dudes lining up like it was Comic-Con. Lies and Shun sat there stunned as the chaos unfolded. She casually said it was just her fan club, a bit of a nuisance, honestly. While wiping her blade, she said she didn't care about them. Yulisha dropped the bomb. She wanted to go out with him. Shun and Lies both froze, and everyone nearby lost their minds. Shun jolted up, panicked, asking what she was saying all of a sudden. Lies, jealous, pointed at Yulisha, saying that was practically public indecency. Yulisha laughed, saying her bad, then clarified that she was inviting him to join the organization, not to date her. Shun blinked in shock. Yulisha continued, saying the Levantine organization was the most prestigious group in the kingdom, filled only with S-rank adventurers. Recently, error monsters have been appearing more often. Just like the void dragon he fought earlier, their levels couldn't even be measured. These monsters had insane power, some strong enough to wipe out entire towns. That was why Levantine had been formed as a counterforce against them. Listening to all this, Shun muttered that it sounded crazy. His level had dropped so much that he was now E rank, the absolute lowest. But Yulisha looked surprised and said if he was the one who brought down that void dragon that changed things. She said error monsters and S-rank adventurers weren't small matters. If she saw potential in someone, even a hint, she scouted them immediately. Shun hesitated. Even if she meant it, the offer felt too sudden. He looked around at the crowd and pointed out that recruiting someone like him in such a public place wasn't ideal. Yulisha laughed it off, saying he didn't need to worry. For an adventurer to be invited to Levantine was a huge honor. Of course, people would be jealous. She leaned in, saying this could be his chance to get back at all those who looked down on him. Shun glanced around. People were whispering. She continued, saying strong people always got the recognition they deserved. That's just how the world worked. Suddenly, a memory flashed in his mind. A scene from long ago, his father leaving, Shun begging him not to go. His father apologized, saying he would come back and telling him to be a good boy until then. Little Shun had cried, saying he wanted to become an adventurer too. The memory faded. Back in the present, he clenched his fists. He had to find his father again. Yulisha stood, saying they should get going. She grabbed Shun's arm, saying it was time to meet Levantine's leader. But Shun stopped her, gently pulling his arm away. He appreciated the offer, but he couldn't accept it. Before he could say more, he felt something strange in the air. That sweet fragrance again. Her voice whispered to him, asking if he was refusing. The tone turned playful. Yulisha leaned in closer, teasing him. If he wouldn't come willingly, then maybe she'd just have to drag him along. She bumping her bouncy castle into him. Shun's eyes widened. Whatever happened next, he knew he was in serious trouble. Shun felt something was off. His head was all foggy and a heavy pressure clouded his thoughts. He realized this must have been an illusion skill. Yulisha had extended her hand, casting it while trying to convince him to follow her lead. But then, the haze cleared. Shun snapped out of it, saying he appreciated her offer, but there was something important he still needed to do. Yulisha blinked, a bit surprised. She hadn't expected him to break free from her illusion on his own. Before she could say more, Lies stepped in, clearly jealous. She told Yulisha to back off, saying Shun wasn't interested. Yulisha just shrugged, admitting that if it didn't work, it didn't. But the truth remained, they were struggling with the rising threat of error monsters. She asked Shun if he had any idea why the void dragon suddenly appeared. Shun went silent. That mystery still lingered in his mind. Back in the dungeon, he hadn't sensed a single presence, and yet the dragon had just appeared out of nowhere. Yulisha noticed him lost in thought and continued, saying Levantine's investigation estimated that if another error monster were to show up, it would likely be around this area. They had hoped for a stronger lead, which explained why she'd been so on edge. She wanted to stay ahead of these threats. Just then, two of Gezeria's underlings stumbled in. Shun noticed they had made it back alive, but before anyone could say a word, the ground shook violently. In a blink, the scene shifted, flames engulfed the area, and golem-like monsters appeared, towering and hostile. Chaos broke out as people tried to fight back, but these creatures weren't stopping. The destruction spread fast. A thick fog rolled in around them, and the monsters advanced without warning. Shun wondered if this was some kind of teleportation ability because he had never seen monsters move like this before. Yulisha reached into her pouch and pulled out a stone. Holding it up, she scanned the area. A system notification popped up. Status was confirmed via appraisal stone. It identified the enemies as leap golems, but their level was hidden. Her eyes widened in alarm. If even their levels couldn't be displayed, this had to be serious. She stared at the stone in her hand and smiled, saying it looked like round 2 had begun. The error monsters were invading again, and this time, there were way too many. Mana surged around her as Yulisha gripped her blade tight. Shun could tell she was about to go all in. She said she was a champion of justice, and with something this outrageous happening in front of her, there was no way she could let it slide. She stepped into the fog and began slashing, red mist swirling in the air from the carnage. Shun stood frozen, amazed at the illusion skill she used. But this wasn't just an illusion, she was making it real. She was out of control, taking vengeance for the disrespect thrown her way. Shun looked around. People were in danger, and even someone like Yulisha couldn't handle this many enemies alone. He pulled out his sword and turned to Lies, saying he was heading in too. He asked her to help the others get to safety. She nodded without hesitation. As he dashed in, he thought it was just one fight after another lately, but there was no backing down. A golem launched an attack on a crying kid. Just in time, Shun swung his sword, activating the principle of attack. The blade slashed through the golem's hand. He told the kid to run, then turned to face the enemy again. More golems appeared, surrounding him. He checked his system and noticed how fast his EP was draining. Black Flame Magic cost 20 and Principle of Attack cost 10. The power boost only lasted a few seconds. Taking them down one by one wasn't going to work. He had to finish them in a single move using Black Flame Magic. He also noticed something strange. The golems weren't catching up to Yulisha, and he wondered why they didn't use their teleportation again. Then it hit him, these things weren't teleporting. They were using ultra-high-speed movement, but only in a straight line. That meant once they launched, they were stuck on that trajectory. Shun realized this was his one shot. If he lined them up just right, he could wipe them all out in one blow. The golems charged. Shun dodged and ran, baiting them into position. As energy built up around his arm, he activated his error skill again. Black Flame Magic lit up the field. Everyone stood stunned as they watched Shun unleash his magic, freezing all the golems mid-action. Yulisha, watching closely, looked impressed. It wasn't just the magic that amazed her. It was the fact that Shun waited for the perfect moment to strike, ensuring he could take down the golems properly. Just like she thought, that boy wasn't ordinary. The system panel flickered in front of Shun, declaring he had gained experience. His level dropped further to -4, and his maximum EP increased to 90. Another notification followed. He had acquired a third error skill called Revenger's Curse. Shun paused, curious about the new skill. The system explained that due to progress in curse removal, the skill's data had become viewable. It activated upon receiving damage and returned the same amount to the attacker. Shun looked surprised, wondering if this was what that mysterious figure had mentioned. On top of that, he'd gained yet another unknown skill. Before he could think more, he heard someone call him. A little kid ran up to him with a big smile, shaking his hand and thanking him for saving him. Shun smiled back, saying it was no big deal, he was just glad the kid was safe. Later that night, the village mayor personally thanked Shun, getting emotional while saying Shun had saved his precious grandchild. He invited Shun to a feast and welcomed him warmly. Yulisha, sitting nearby, smiled and told Shun he was being way too modest. There was no doubt he saved a life. The others around the table nodded, raising drinks and agreeing Shun was more amazing than anyone else. Shun gave a shy laugh, saying they were all exaggerating too much. A bit farther away, two jealous adventurers were grumbling. One of them muttered about that damn level-down guy, furious that Shun was surrounded by girls. The kid from earlier overheard and ran up to them, shouting that they shouldn't make fun of Shun. He told them they should be ashamed. They yelled back, but the kid stood his ground, insisting it wasn't okay to badmouth others. He stormed off while they fumed silently. Shun looked around, quietly laughing to himself. At least for now, peace had returned. As they enjoyed their drinks, Yulisha brought up what they discussed earlier. She said she hadn't sensed anything strange before, yet an error monster still appeared. Shun nodded as the memory hit him too. That was something that had been bothering him. Gazaria wasn't the one summoning the dragon either, so there had to be another explanation. Shun then looked at Yulisha, asking about her investigation. Didn't she say error monsters tended to appear around this area? Yulisha smiled and said good catch. It was simple. Error monsters often reappeared in locations where they'd already shown up before. However, she added they were still investigating why that was the case. Shun went quiet, thinking hard. If this kept happening in the same places, was it just a coincidence? He started feeling like someone was doing this on purpose. A thought clicked in his mind. He stood and told Yulisha to follow him. They walked down a quiet street, and Shun pointed ahead. There, he saw two shadows swirling near the corpses of the golems. They were talking and checking the bodies. One of them commented that the golems could only perform at half their original strength. The other agreed, saying it was just like with the Void Dragon. They laughed, saying maybe it took time to sync with the world. As they reached another golem's remains, one of the men unsheathed his blade for a strike. Before it could land, someone blocked it. It was Shun, standing there with a strange aura flaring around him. His expression was cold as he said they were the ones scheming all along. The men recognized him instantly. They played dumb, acting surprised that someone got through their repelling barrier. Yulisha narrowed her eyes, realizing she hadn't seen them at the guild earlier. Shun confirmed it, saying they were Gazaria's underlings. It all added up now. After everything they discussed, he realized the error monster appearances weren't natural, they were being arranged. He recalled how those same people were present during both the Void Dragon and the Golem attacks. They were hiding behind Gazaria, who had the monster summoning skill. It had to be them working in the background, making these attacks happen. One of the men smirked, admitting Shun was sharper than they expected. They left clues on purpose but still didn't expect anyone to figure it out this quickly. Yulisha, hearing this, looked pissed. The guy casually mentioned they were grieving for their dear friend Gazaria too. Yulisha said they could have at least said something a little nicer. Her tone changed as she moved faster than anyone could see. She muttered how she didn't like bad mouths. In a blink, she threw her blade at the guy. It struck him right in the forehead as she added that they'd start by dealing with that filthy mouth first. Something strange followed. The guy grinned with a cut on his cheek and mocked Yulisha while pulling off a broken face mask. He revealed his real appearance, a blonde-haired man smirking as he thanked Yulisha for breaking his favorite mask. Yulisha glanced to the side and scoffed, realizing he wasn't hurt at all. She laughed softly, thinking that not just the mask, but everything else about him screamed weird kid with weird magic. The blonde guy responded with mock politeness, saying what an honor it was to meet an S-rank adventurer in person. He added how surprised he was that she saw through their identities, saying that her sharp intuition was fitting for the son of Mr. Pharaohs. Shun froze at that. He couldn't believe what he just heard. His mind raced as he tried to understand how this stranger knew his father's name. The blonde guy just laughed and started to say something but was cut off by his partner, who called him Carla and told him to stop talking. Carla shrugged it off, laughing and apologizing. A strange red aura began to swirl around Shun. His eyes glowed as he ordered them to explain everything. Memories rushed through his mind, his childhood when his father left. He had begged to become an adventurer with him. Later, he trained every day, determined to grow stronger and find his father. He remembered overhearing people talking behind his back, saying his father was never coming back, mocking him for dreaming of erasing monsters. They called his training a joke. He remembered Gazaria beating him up, laughing and calling his dad weak. Shun, trembling and bloody, had yelled that his father wasn't dead. Now back in the present, Shun stared coldly at the two and demanded answers. But the other guy told him it was pointless, that they had no reason to tell him anything, and told him to give up. Shun stepped forward with that same cold look, his aura swirling darker now. Without warning, he launched a powerful strike, sending the guy flying and slamming into the ground. Carla stood stunned, then let out a laugh, saying this was even better than watching Shun take down the leap golem. Yulisha moved to draw her sword, but Shun told her not to interfere. He'd handle them himself, no matter what. She seemed to realize something about his father and quietly stepped back. Carla smirked and snapped his fingers, and the golems around them suddenly stood up again. They all turned to face Shun. Carla ordered them to take him down at once, but before they could move, Shun's blade slashed through the air. In an instant, all the golems shattered into debris. Carla stood there stunned, mumbling about how they got wiped in a flash. He seemed more amused than concerned, still provoking Shun. Then the other guy finally stood up and told Carla to stop messing around. He reminded him of the message from that person. Carla nodded calmly and said if they kept dragging this out, Mr. Pharaohs might actually get mad. Shun heard that and demanded to know why they kept mentioning his father's name. Carla chuckled and told him to forget what he just said. But Shun was already gripping his sword, ready to go after him again. Mana crackled around him as he charged Carla, but something strange happened. Suddenly, Shun found himself standing on the ground again while the two men appeared high above, watching from a rooftop. Their real bodies. One of them commented that Shun was getting kind of dangerous. Carla agreed, saying it was a surprise to see a human who could destroy their clones. The other guy warned Carla again not to provoke him. Shun looked up, eyes burning, ready to fight again. Carla, ever mocking, told him that if he really wanted answers, maybe he should ask Yulisha instead. He asked Shun why she had attacked him earlier. He added that Shun would understand it soon, even if he didn't want to. Yulisha gasped quietly. The other guy told Carla to stop rambling already. Carla just smiled and said they'd finished what they came for. He was sure they'd meet again, and when that time came, they'd play again. He cast a teleportation spell, opening a glowing gate behind him. But just as they were about to vanish, Shun moved again. He leapt high into the air, closing the distance in an instant. The two men panicked, clearly not expecting him to be this fast. Shun's voice rang out cold and clear as he declared they were his targets now. Then his blade swung again, unleashing a powerful strike that lit the sky, his final word for now, one that carried both fury and resolve. Defeat. To Shun's shock, the guy started fading into the wall using some strange skill. Mana and energy swirled around him while he praised Shun's spirit, then brushed him off as weak. Shun wasn't having any of it and charged at Carla, shouting that he wasn't done yet. Carla just laughed and told him he was getting too cocky. Furious, Shun extended his hand, activating his black flame magic. But at the same time, Carla raised his own hand, unleashing a jet black thunder magic. The moment their magic collided, a massive explosion of power erupted. Shun's eyes widened. He'd never heard of jet black lightning before. Was this really a lightning-type skill? It felt strangely similar to his own black flame magic. Carla also looked surprised. He realized Shun's fire magic didn't follow normal logic. That kid really seemed capable of using power similar to their kind, the kind that came from the other side of the world. Shun said aloud this power felt the same as theirs. He didn't understand what the hell was going on. One of the guys admitted they were just as surprised. Even if Shun was that man's son, to awaken this level of power alone was beyond expectations. Then he casually invited Shun to join them. Shun's answer came in the form of a furious sword swing. He told them not to mess with him. There was no way he'd ever join those bastards. He said they were the ones who needed to surrender and spill everything they knew. The guy sighed, saying negotiations had failed. Carla laughed and asked if Shun really planned to oppose them no matter what. Then he guessed they had no choice but to finish him right there. Shun blocked, but Carla managed to push Shun's blade down and brought the edge of his own dangerously close to Shun's eye. Gritting his teeth, Shun dodged and countered with a powerful strike, sending Carla stumbling. Carla stood there stunned, now wondering if Shun really was that man's son. Shun had already figured it out. That instant movement of Carla's weapon was the essence of his skill. He knew he couldn't win with normal means, so Shun had to use the new skill. Yulisha, watching all this unfold, started moving to help, but Shun told her to stay back. He was ending this himself. He gathered his power and called them both out, daring them to come at him. Carla laughed, impressed by Shun's insane strength, but also called him reckless for trying to fight solo. The other guy warned Carla not to take him lightly, reminded him that Shun was the son of that man, and told him to meet him with full force. Carla and the guy stepped forward with confidence. The guy manipulated the dust and debris to cloud Shun's vision, while Carla activated his next move. He summoned a mountain of swords that floated in the air and snapped his fingers. The blades surged toward Shun in waves, coming from above and behind. Carla proudly declared the trap complete. It was an unavoidable rain of death. Yulisha watched, worried. Shun blocked what he could, but swords still cut into him. Blood splattered, but he kept moving, leaping through the storm of blades. The two enemies were stunned. He was still standing. Suddenly, Shun activated his error skill, Revenger's Curse. A fresh wound appeared on the other guy's shoulder, bleeding just like Shun's. The system panel appeared, confirming that the curse could activate when taking damage and would return it to the attacker. Carla also started bleeding, shocked. He realized too late that Shun had provoked them on purpose. He laughed through the pain, impressed. Shun wasn't done yet. He raised his sword high and declared his attack, God of Fire, Kagetsuchi. The strike knocked both of them off their feet, sending them crashing into the ground. Yulisha rushed in and quickly used a binding spell, tying both of them up with magic rope. The other guy kept laughing like a lunatic. Yulisha and Shun stared in silence as he declared that Shun was exactly what they expected from Lord Pharaoh's son. That's why it was such a waste. Instead of fading away in a place like this, he said, there was a better path waiting. Shun was already exhausted and done with their talk. He walked up, slapped the guy across the back of the neck, and muttered that these guys were seriously getting on his nerves, every last one of them. The night had fallen, and the two enemies lay knocked out on the ground. Shun, bruised and battered, coughed weakly as pain surged through his body. He looked like he was about to fall over when Yulisha stepped forward and caught him. Even in that condition, he still managed to ask if she was okay. She apologized and just stood there, silently staring at him, pity in her eyes. That movement just now wasn't normal. No matter how she looked at it, the power Shun used was beyond anything ordinary. Shun's eyes landed on the two unconscious guys, but Yulisha told him not to worry. She had already called guild members in case something like this happened. They were arriving now, just a bit too late. She handed him a superior recovery potion, then casually flirted that she could always give him mouth-to-mouth if he wanted. Flustered, he quickly waved it off. After taking the potion, he felt the mana beginning to recover inside him. A high-grade potion like this wasn't cheap, yet she gave it to him so easily. He thanked her sincerely. Then she told him they needed to talk, just the two of them. After everything that happened, it was important. He was surprised, but she explained that if they left things like this, the aftermath could get messy. There was something she needed to tell him about his father. Later, Shun sat stunned after hearing what she had to say. His father is behind the appearance of the error monsters. He was in disbelief, completely shaken. He told her not to joke about something like that. Yulisha understood his reaction. She admitted it sounded harsh, but Levantine had come to that conclusion 5 years ago. It was the reason she had been wary of him from the beginning. Shun stayed quiet as she continued. Those two guys they fought had hinted at Pharaoh's involvement. The investigation would likely intensify from here on out. She saw the sadness in Shun's face. Of course, it would be a shock. Pharaoh's wasn't just any adventurer. Everyone knew his name. Even among S-ranks, he stood above the rest. Not even multiple S-ranks together could defeat him. But ever since the day he faced the evil lord, everything changed. She quietly apologized to Shun again. She just thought he deserved to know. She knew he must be confused. Shun listened in silence, piecing things together. He realized now that Yulisha hadn't scouted him just because of the Void Dragon. She had also wanted to keep an eye on him. She didn't deny it. It was true he couldn't keep things hidden forever, just like his father. He looked down, quiet. Yulisha told him not to look so down. They weren't trying to hurt anyone. They were just doing their best for the country too. She told him if he didn't want to join Levantine, she wouldn't force him. But Shun kept thinking. That guy earlier told him to ask Yulisha why she suddenly attacked him, and everything would make sense. With those thoughts in mind, Shun finally spoke. He said he would join Levantine. Yulisha looked surprised at his answer. But Shun said if she was chasing after his father, then their goals aligned. He had continued being an adventurer all this time just to meet his father again. Just then, the door burst open. Lies ran in, tears in her eyes, clinging to him as she cried, asking if he was leaving. Shun glanced at her and muttered she looked totally drunk. She sobbed that he couldn't just abandon her and run off. She turned to Yulisha, snotty and dramatic, begging to come along. Yulisha smiled and said anyone could join, as long as they passed the recruitment test. Lies winked and said with her power she'd pass for sure. Shun just stared, wondering where all this confidence came from. Even Yulisha looked confused, like she just got jump-scared by confidence. She clapped her hands to get everyone's attention and announced they would depart tomorrow. But Lies got impatient, saying they should leave right now. Shun reminded her they couldn't bring a drunk along. She cried even harder, saying it was cruel that even her beloved Shun was saying strange things now. Through her hiccups, she said that was exactly why she fell in love with him. Because he was like that. That's why she wanted to follow him. She sobbed that she would make his happiness come true no matter what. Shun gently told her to calm down, but the hot mess of a girl just clung tighter. Seeing all this unfold, Yulisha stood quietly, realizing Shun's resolve hadn't wavered. He confirmed it. He would join Levantine and uncover the truth about his father. Yulisha admitted they didn't want Pharaohs to be their enemy either. She told him they'd work hard together. Shun's mind raced. He silently made a promise, telling his father to wait. One way or another, he'd catch up to his back. Outrow will Shun uncover the truth behind his father's shadow, or get swallowed by the darkness chasing him? Comment Monster Slayer if you're eager to find out in our part 2. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. As always, thanks for watching.